Hey, Philip, you're muted.
There you go.
Don't you wish sometimes you could do that to your wife or your husband? I don't hear you.
Yeah. Be nice to have that button when you need it, right?
Yes, yes. I'm sure my dog has one of those.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we had a rain day today. It's been raining hard all day long, so didn't get any training to speak of done. Well, we did some stuff on the porch, but nothing out in the field.
Okay,
So we were working on the engagement game from the enrichment book, and that's going pretty well.
good.
Yeah, she I finally got her to not dash every time I tell her to get the toy. So she's slowing down a little bit and seems to be listening to me a little bit better.
hmm Have you gone back to the goats as far as them just being in the other pen and working with her there just to,
I have, and I've discovered that she has about a 15-foot radius that she's dialed in with me until they get within that 15 feet,
Mhm.
and then she's off. She's
Yep.
off after them.
Yep.
So, she's definitely hooked up with the goats, and I think she's getting better with being engaged with me. I've got a video that's still compiling that shows the goats show up about 20 seconds into it, and you can see what happens.
Yeah, well, I can kind of guess what happens. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, she's got to be hooked up or else there isn't any point. I mean, she's not going to work them for you. And
yeah,
that's just, as long as she's not as hooked up as she was to those sheep in Georgia, where, she was like way, way, way away from them and she still couldn't listen at all. So, I think you're
yeah.
heading in the right direction. It's just, I mean, what can you do? I mean, just,
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, it's a balance. I don't want her to completely ignore the stock, but I don't want her to completely ignore me either. So
nope.
it's a hard balance to reach sometimes. We're having a lot of trouble, and the video it should be up anytime now, but we're having
Okay.
a lot of trouble with the out cue.
Okay.
I've done, I think, a lot of the things that you suggested, which is working on flanks, like 3 or 4 to 1 to the out cue, and
Right.
either, if I work a lot on flanks, then she doesn't take the out cue, and if I get her to take the out,
Then she doesn't
she
want
almost
to.
is, she's anticipating.
Yeah, she's offering it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's I keep going back and forth, but this has been one of the harder things that we've done. Um,
Yep. It's especially for if, well, I I think the out is hard for um forward moving dogs. The other dogs, the sideways, tend to want to be out, and so it's hard to get them to come in. But I think anytime you're working with two different competing behaviors, because even though she wants to move out, but that's just out from you and the rat. But once she gets on sheep or goats, she isn't going to want to move out,
right.
So you might put the goats in the pen, in your X pen, and put your things around it and see, I don't know if she's at the point where she can, like, if you can put the cones far enough that she could flank around them or not.
Yeah, I think I'm going to run out of room on that one.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that may be part of the problem. I wonder if she had more room between the two sets of cones,
Mm-hmm.
if
Well,
it
you can,
might
yeah,
if it might be easier. So
try it.
I might set it up in this other field I have again and just see what happens. But I went back to not exactly the beginning, but close to it where I was, throwing the rat as I gave the out cue.
Yes.
And at first I thought it was working. Then I realized she was really just anticipating and was offering me out without the cue. So
Yes.
I'll see what you think with this video. I think it just popped up.
Okay. Well, as far as trying something new, you know me, try something if it just gives you information. If you figure out, well, having more space in between didn't really help. Well,
Yeah.
there may be, that was a little better. Maybe even a little more space would help. I try anything once. I set up some cones with Sir and I put the sheep in the pen because I was trying to get him to slow down. But then he's come by, he tends to stay out, but away, he doesn't really, spiral in, but he just wants to be in closer. And
Mhm.
so I put the cones out because then he'll stay out and then I can just work on slowing him down. And then, he's not having to worry, he just automatically stays on the outside of him. So that eliminates that. And then I think if I can get him to slow down, then he can think a little more and then I'll work on the out. But you can't really work on two things at once because it just doesn't work very well. The dog doesn't know, and I tended to do that. But I think this is, and the thing with him is he would, slow down. Like, I always said my criteria for the easy is going from like a canter to a trot or trot to a walk. Well, he would go from a canter to a trot, but he trots so fast, he was moving as fast as cantering, and he was real tight. And now I'm starting to get him to relax and just, even when he's cantering, I don't mind him cantering as much as he was just so tight and so fast. And so, now he's starting to relax and I've just been working on it in the small area. Now I moved into a bigger area with the cones and he just, starting to relax so that when you do an outrun, a short outrun, he can get behind him and not, blow him out of there before he gets behind him, which he tends to do. And if he comes in a little easier, then they turn and he just can bring them nice. But so it's never ending deal.
Okay. Let's see. Let me share the screen.
Okay. Ooh, pink.
Yeah. Don't know where that came from.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've tried to figure out a way that, the video isn't so choppy. I'm using the lowest
Resolution.
And, it's probably, I think one thing that we could do is, maybe when it gets real choppy is just tell me and I'll pause it. I think it'll let your RAM buffer catch up. I don't know. That's just a theory.
Okay. Well, a lot of times it just, it isn't, it just, it like moves like that. It's consistent.
Judy. Away. Yes, get it. Good dog.
So see, like when you would had her set up like that, I usually have the dog facing me, but if they're facing the other way, I'll usually tell them to go the way they're not facing.
Get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to, and then that's probably why my dogs tend to face me because they don't know which way they're going to go. But I noticed a lot, most of the times, if she's facing one direction, you would send her that direction.
Get it. Yeah. Good dog. Drop it.
It's gotten a lot better dropping it for you.
Yeah, we've been working on that quite a bit.
Away.
The other thing you do is you almost every time, even if she's facing you, you have her go in front of you. So you give a lot of body cues and, you know, or you set her up to be successful. You're not very good at making it like,
Yeah, that's a good girl.
So right there, I felt like I was pretty still. Was I giving her a lot of body language on that one?
well, you have her go in front of you. You're standing still, but the way you set up.
Okay, let me
Go away.
pause it because I don't think I understand.
Okay, see how she is right now?
Yeah,
Okay. Almost every time, even if she was facing you, you would have her go to the left in front of you. You'd never hardly ever ask her to go behind you.
go behind me. So,
Go come by.
oh, I see. Yeah, I was trying to stick with one.
Right, but that's fine. But you set it up every time so that she's on your right and she's going in front of you. And
I see.
so you can still do it. You can still work on one, but don't, stand and face her square. So she doesn't have a clue. You're just telling her you're going to go in front of me. Almost every time that you do it, you send her in front of you, whichever flank that is.
Okay. So, for example, here,
See,
she's
that's better. Yes,
okay.
that's better. Because
And
now you're not telling her which ways to go.
okay. And sometimes it sounds like you're saying that sometimes I should actually face in the wrong direction.
Or if you're turned to the side a little bit so that let's say you wanted her to go away. You're working on a way. Turn a little bit so that, you don't have to have your back to her, but so that normally you'd have her go to the right because you usually have her go in front of you. So you can be just a little bit off to the side. So yeah, she's going to go, let's say she's like, instead of going a third, 2/3 in front of you, she's going to go a third behind you. So you're just set off to a little bit to the side so that it's her normal thing is going to be to go in front of you because that's how you've set it up so many times. And,
Okay.
and then it just gets her listening more. Like we're talking about, you want her engaged with you and listening. But if you set it up all the time, so you tell her with your body what you want, once you start hurting, you're not going to be telling her anything with your body. So you want her really to be engaged with your voice.
Okay. Yeah, I think I started doing that because if you'll remember, she used to get stuck at like 4 steps, 5 steps. And so I started turning in the direction that she was going to get her to go a little bit farther.
Right.
But
And
she
that
doesn't
was
do
fine. That's
Okay.
fine. But then you got to fade that.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So I probably don't need to do that anymore.
No, I would
Okay.
and try just turning a little less and then, or just try not at all and see, is this a problem anymore? But that's it. I think we tend to, we see a problem, we solve it, but we set up a pattern, but then we get into the pattern. The dog doesn't necessarily need it, but we kind
Right.
of set ourselves up because we get comfortable too.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what happened here. I don't think about my position probably as much as I should.
Well, you're thinking about not moving, which is great. But now I'm just saying, okay, now there's another element.
Okay.
It's just kind of like when I was learning to herd. At first, the way I learned traditional, it was so amazing to see your dog out there. And the guy I worked with said, well, you gotta watch the sheep. You can't just watch your dog. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So now I gotta keep track of the sheep. And the sheep tell you where the dog is. And then pretty soon he goes, well, you've got to move. And I'm like, oh, so, I mean, it just keeps building. And so, I'm just trying to set you up so that you are cognizant of what you're doing, because eventually everything's going to change and you're going to have a whole new set of things to keep track of. And she is too. So we want to remove all these physical cues that you're giving her, not by moving, but by positioning, because it's good to set up patterns. Like if you set your dog up on your left side, you want him to go on an outrun, you want him to go and stay on your left side. You don't want him to cross in front of you. So that's a really good pattern. And you want to do that every time. And if you want him to go on your right side, you set him up that way. So you're never going to, change that. So there's good patterns that cue the dog, okay, now we've gone to a different pasture, but you know, I want you to go around them and, you know, get out around them on this side. So I'm setting you up on this side. So there's really good patterns, but then there's other patterns that we don't want. And you just don't want you to get worried or get set up, and you're doing them unconsciously, I think, after a while. And but
Mhm.
then she's reading them. She's reading them all the time. And
Yeah.
so it's just a matter of everything you do, the dog is reading. And whether it's, you know, a pattern that you like or one you don't like, it's, you know, it's like one guy came and he said he would slingshot his dog. He would put him on his left side and then he'd have it go out behind him to go around, thinking that would, you know, help widen him out. And I said, well, you know, that's really, you know, you're not addressing the problem. And I said, you know, you want to have it, you know, I said, you're setting up a bad pattern. And then when I told him what I did, he goes, well, that's a pattern. I said, yeah, but some patterns are good, you know, because they help the dog when you go in a new situation or new stock. They understand what you're asking, but other patterns are not helpful because they're not going to carry through.
Right. Yeah, I saw a trainer on YouTube that did just exactly that. He tried to slingshot the dog out, you know, to develop a wider flank. I think is what he
Yes.
was trying to
Yeah.
do.
It
And
doesn't work.
yeah, so he'd take his crook and he'd run out along with the dog and, you know, shoosh the dog out towards the side. And I know what you're talking. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, usually they start them on the opposite side. Like if you're going to send them to the come by side, they'll start them on their right side. And then the dog will, when they send them, they'll go behind them and then out. And so it starts them out being square, which they think is going to help. But the problem is, that's not where the problem is. The problem's out there, and you can't fix it. You know,
Right.
if you have a problem 30 feet away, it's pretty hard to fix it, you know, behind you.
Yeah. They're looking for momentum to carry through.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the dogs, you know, the dogs are so agile and capable. I mean, you know, if you had some, you know, something that wasn't very good at, you know, turning, but cripes, they can turn on a dime, and I mean,
Yeah.
they can slingshot behind you and cut right in. And, you know,
Yeah.
you're just not addressing, I think it's trying to address it indirectly, and, you know, that's not the problem. I mean, it's not gonna, if that's not the problem, that isn't gonna be the solution.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Get back to where we were.
Good dog. Yeah. Stop it. Away. Yes, get it. Good dog. Good girl. Yeah.
Are the goats over in the pen over there?
Yeah, they're right here. I figured out that if I put fresh hay in their manger, they'll stay over there for a while, which they
Yeah.
did. They're probably 30 or 40 feet away right now.
Right, I can see the feeder, and I think that's great because she's working, and so that's a distraction. She knows they're there. She can see them, she can smell them, and they move a little bit, but that's a great distraction. And she's not, you know,
Yes, get it. Good dog. Good girl.
so that looked good.
Yeah, I like I said, I can't really tell if she's anticipating or you know, I kept going back and forth between the flank and the out, and you know, most of the time I felt like she was offering the out, but you know, it was kind of random, so maybe I'm wrong.
Too bad.
And see there, that's the same setup. You have her go in front of you. I mean,
Got
that's
it.
almost every time.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start working on changing that.
Away.
Is she sniffing? Is that what she's doing? I can't see.
Yeah, I'm kind of just giving her a pause because she
Right.
cut that corner a couple of times.
Yes, get it. Good girl.
That's good.
Yeah, she's doing real well with the flanks.
Yep.
She almost never misses.
Yeah. You seem to get quite a bit of traffic on your road there.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of people move in recently. We used to have almost no traffic, but
Yes, get it.
it's
So
amplified.
there, you asked her out, but she never went out. But then all of a sudden, she went all the way around, and you said yes.
It's a good dog.
So
Oh, yeah.
if she ignores the cue, then you probably should tell her lie down immediately and then set up again, and maybe even wait a few seconds. But if you ask her something, she doesn't do it, then you don't, even if she goes around nice, which is another thing you'd like, that's not what you ask her to do, so she doesn't get it.
Okay. So I tried the construction paper idea, and it kept blowing off.
Okay.
So I got a couple of plastic coffee cans, cut holes in the bottom of them, and they kept working their way off. It was a pretty windy day.
Oh, yeah.
Away. Out. Yes, get it. Good dog.
So why did you give her a yes when you said out? She didn't go out, did she?
Didn't she go out right here?
Go back a little bit.
I thought she did.
I didn't think so. Okay.
I don't know what I was trying to do there. I kind of figured out that I was confused.
I get confused all the time. Okay, so.
Yes, get it. Good dog.
So I guess she was delayed a couple of times, but
That's a good dog.
I mean,
Well, if you go back and look, I think you say yes before she does anything.
okay.
I think she went out because you threw that out, the rat out. I don't think she went out because.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like that, I'll just do it in slow motion, or else I'll stop and I'll listen for when I say something, and then where's the dog, so I can figure out if I can't see it, if it's close.
Drop it. Get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually played a little bit with captions on the videos, and it really is a pain.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It just takes too much time. But the reason I did it was because you said I had a couple of miscues, and I didn't pick up on it.
So there again, I don't think she went out. I think that I think you said out, and then I don't see her going out. In other words, what I would say is, don't say yes and throw anything till she's on the outside of those spoons. Not when she's thinking about it, because if she's thinking about it, she's going to go out and stay out. But I think you're reinforcing her not going out, and then you throw it out. But then to her, she doesn't care.
Right. So wait until she goes out to mark her.
Right.
Because I guess I probably need to go back and read it. But,
yes, get it.
I think that wasn't the first step with this to have the rat already on the ground.
Yes, but that I do it when they're just stopped. They're like where they're just standing there. Once I actually start having them flank, because then you've been asking her to stay on the inner circle. Now you're saying out, and then when she doesn't go out, you say yes and throw it out. So all of a sudden, to me, it doesn't make any sense what the difference is to her. But once I'm actually having the dog flank, then I don't anticipate anymore. It's like, okay, have they learned? They should have learned by then that means to go out to the outer circle. So at this point, I'm no longer doing that. Until they go out, they're not getting a yes. And
okay.
Because like I said, otherwise it just ends up, you're just I don't see what it means anything to the dog. That was just in the very beginning. It's kind of a lure a few times to get them the idea that this is what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah, now the goats have come over to the fence edge, and she's pretty hooked up with them.
Yes, good girl. Easy.
So like, you know, when she does that, goes over there, what I do is I grab my tug and I go over by a way like where your side by side is or whatever you call it. And I try and engage her and get her to tug and get her engaged with me and then work on some engagement.
Okay.
Because just if she just keeps going over there, you know, it's not really helping you in this situation. So I think you're gonna, if the goats move away from the feeder, I think then you should stop doing whatever you're doing and work on engagement.
Okay. So what I was doing there is giving her some simple obedience cues, and I thought she was doing pretty well.
She
you know,
was. And
once
so
we
another thing you can do is like where you were working and that was doing great, then go back by your side by side, call her off, you know, and tug with her a little bit. And then, but you don't want her to always be going over there when you're trying to do this. If
Okay.
they're going to be she's just telling you it's too distracting for me, I can't do it. And like I said, I don't know that Sir could do that. That's a really difficult thing when the stock's that close for them to be interested in a rat and you.
So when she does that
Easy.
and runs off towards the I want to pause this because there was something I wanted to ask you about. But
Sure.
when she does that and takes off to go eyeball the goats at the fence line, should I just stop and not try to do that exercise anymore and go work on engagement?
Yes. And I wouldn't even wait till she runs off. If keep an eye, like you said, you fed the goats some hay, and then she could do this. Okay,
Right.
as soon as you see that they're, you know, starting to leave, then you stop working on this and you just start working on engagement.
Okay.
So
Got it.
because this isn't, you know, she's just pulling away from you. And like I said, I don't think Sir could do that. I don't think he would do what you're asking her to do. And he's got a lot more training. So
Right.
I think you're just asking too much. You're setting her up for failure. If you don't keep track close enough and she goes over, that's fine. Then you're just going to work on engagement. You're not going to go back to this while the goats are wandering around. And then you'll know, you know, at some point when she can listen to you and then you can pull her away and you can, like you were saying, you were working the book where you send her, when you can send her towards them and then stop her and call her back and she's listening, then you're going to put the goats back in the pen in the center.
Okay.
But it's just, that's really difficult. And, you know, I think she's done exceptionally well for the situation you put her in. So
Okay.
I think that's really good, but just know that I wouldn't expect any dog to do that.
Okay.
Because, you know, a rat is like this value and goats are this value and we want them to be. And so it's, you know, it's just like if I said, well, you know, I'm going to give you, your favorite vegetable is peas. Okay, you can have peas. Your favorite dessert is cheesecake. Well, okay, well, you can have all the, you know, you want of each. Well, yeah, I love peas, but when, you know, relatively, I'm going to go for the cheesecake. Thanks
Right.
anyhow. And I think she's done real well with this situation.
Okay.
You know, if she can do it when the goats are eating hay, I'd say that's excellent. You know,
Yeah, they've gone back now to the manger. They figured out I didn't have any food for them. But
right.
what I wanted to ask, and this is going to go by pretty quick, so I'll ask before I play it. But
Okay.
so we've done real well with Hurry. We're 90% fluent on that. So I'm trying to mix, and we've done real well with the Easy.
Okay.
So I'm trying to mix it up and be random with it. And I know that I'm making a mistake when I do this, but I'm not really sure how to fix it. But
Okay.
when I say yes to give her a mark to when she slows down on Easy, she stops.
Okay.
So I'll show you what I
Okay.
mean.
I can't keep up with you there, dog.
So did you say easy? I couldn't understand exactly.
I
So
said
you
I can't keep up with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she took off a little bit fast, so.
Yes, okay.
Yes. Easy. Yes. Good girl.
Yeah,
I
there
see.
I said easy, and she took a few steps and then she walked. So what should I do in that case? Because I want her to keep going.
Yes. Easy. Yes. Gotta keep walking though.
I think what I would do is, I'd make a smaller circle. I'd work in that smaller circle in the center. And then when I said yes, I would lead her with my hand with a treat. And I'd say yes, and I'd put my hand out to keep her going, to give her the
Yes.
idea that she needs to keep going. Because I don't,
Okay.
no way you can do it with this bigger circle.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm trying to use the target
Yes.
stick, and it just keeps getting ahead of me, so it's not working real well.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I would go back to the smaller circle, and then I would get where I could
Come by.
fade the target stick. Like, I don't know, do you have something on the end of it?
It's just a piece of tape.
Yes.
Okay. So I just take the tape off. It's something that she can see it, and then I just would get where I wouldn't use it. And once she can do it that way, and then in the meantime, if you have trouble and she doesn't need the target stick and you have trouble with her stopping when you say yes, then I would just hold a treat in my hand and then be ready. And then when I said, easy, and she went a few steps, trotted, I'd say yes, and I'd have that ready to put out in front of her, and so that she had to keep trotting a few steps to get it. And hopefully then I'd ping pong that and try and extend it. And then eventually, just try once in a while that she figured out that she can keep trotting.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty hard on that really big circle because you can't keep up with her.
No way.
No, I know. I mean, she's really fast. I mean, Sir's fast too, and I think she's as fast or faster. So
Yeah.
I knew what it's like, and there's no way.
Yeah, we have a kingfisher fishing in our creek in our pond right now. When it sees Judy coming, it takes off, and she takes off after it, and she's like a black streak. I cannot believe how fast she is. Of course, the bird's 30 feet in the air, so she's not going to catch it, but she thinks she is.
I think she's even taller than Sir. So she's got longer legs, and I think she'd beat him in a race. And she loves to run, and he loves to run, and it can be difficult. So just always remember, you got to make things to your advantage. So if you have a smaller circle, the nice thing about a smaller circle is you get more reps in.
Mhm.
Like when we start with little outruns, you do them in this little area because you can do more of them, and you can, like people will get where the dog slices in on top, comes in, and they'll want to run up the field like 100 yards. It's like, oh, I don't have that much energy.
Yeah.
And by the time you get up there, does the dog, they're screaming at the dog, does the dog really get it? But it's all formed close. It's just like when I learned about Bob Bailey talking about working the dolphins. He said they worked in a cove and they worked over and over and over. It's the reps you get in correctly, small area, then you can expand it. Then they send the dolphins miles. But if you get that good solid behavior in a small area, then it's easier on the dog. You get more reps in, it's easier on you, and then you can expand it because the dog knows, okay, this is what we're doing. Well, if I can do it in a 6-foot circle, I can probably do it in a 12-foot circle, and I can do it in an 18-foot circle, but when you try and do it in a big area, it puts it to the dog's advantage, and or I don't know, to their advantage, but to your disadvantage, I guess.
Mhm.
I'd say.
Come by.
See, I like that. You set her up facing you, and so what she did, she didn't go, but
No,
that's
I
how I
don't.
like to set my dog up. I like them looking at the, I like the rat down in between us, and that, they don't, and if I see them turned a little bit like they're thinking of going one way, then I always cue them the other way. Just that's how you start to develop them listening to you, because they're never sure. They're never
Right.
sure what you're gonna do or say.
Come by.
Now, see there, you're back to turning sideways. That's
I don't know why she came in like that. She hasn't done that in a long time.
Yeah, she doesn't, those little cones and even the big ones, I'm not sure. She's never had that much respect. Like, I can send you the video of that I did with Sir with my big cones and my big circle that I worked on him slowing down. I did that a couple days ago. I'll send that to you. You can see how he'll see a cone and then he'll turn away, turn. And he did come in a couple times, but then he'll usually correct himself. I won't usually say out because I'm not working on out. I'm working on slowing him down in that video. And so, but if he'd come in, because the sheep are in the pen there and he, is watching them. And that's one nice thing you want a dog to do is like keep checking in on their stock as they go around. And so then sometimes they get in where they shouldn't be. But if they don't do that, then they can become what they call a point runner, which means they see the stocks out there. They kind of mark it in their mind. Then they go on their outrun and they never look in. And then if the stock moves, they go to where they know balance is, but the stock isn't there because it's moved. So you want the dog looking in to check in, because then they can adjust. If something, if the stock move off to one side, they'll adjust. Or if the stock start heading back out of way, they'll open up and go around. You can't teach that to a dog. It's either in there or not. But you'll see, and that's something you can see in his video, that he's always looking in. It's always not, it's not like every second, but he'll run 10 feet or 12 feet and then he'll look in, and he'll run, as he's running, he'll look in. He's running the whole time or trotting, but he's always checking in, where are the stock and how can I adjust? And so that's something you want. But like I said, you either get it or you don't.
Okay. So I think that I know I asked you this in an email and we're not really ready for it yet, but I think I can get some sheep and I have to feed them and care for them through the winter. But I guess right now you're telling me it would be kind of inadvisable to have them in there, even if they're in the small pen, that we're not really ready for that.
No, they wouldn't be any different than the goats being in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think it's probably going to be a couple months or more before probably after the first year, depending how things go, because that getting her to engage with you is going to be, like you were saying, that out is taking longer. I think that's going to take longer, because now that she's hooking up better, that's just such a strong instinct. It's,
Okay.
it's hard to, and so it's not going to do you any good to have them, because you could do the same thing with your goats.
Yeah.
Until you're ready to let the goats out of the pen, they aren't any help. Their help will when they're out, because they'll stay together better. Your goats tend to go.
Okay. Well, I can tell the person that was offering them that we won't be ready for a while, and they can either decide to, I think they're culls and they're wanting to either send them off to the market or get rid of them somehow. So.
Right, I understand. Yeah, it's up to you. If they sell them cheap enough and you have enough hay, it's fine, but it's really up to you. It'll be, at least I think the first year, if not longer, before you're ready, maybe the spring.
Yeah, I don't really have anywhere else to put them. I'd have to put them in that pen almost. So
Yeah, so
I'll probably wait.
I think that'd be advisable.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll have any trouble finding somebody to